Good morning, and welcome to today's online service from UUCA. I'm Hugh Wynn, member of the Board of Trustees. I'd first like to take this opportunity to say Happy Father's Day to the fathers and fatherly figures in our community. Please know that we're thankful for everything you do. I also want to acknowledge that holidays like today can be difficult for many, so please also know that the UUCA community is here for you during these times. Once again, we're together virtually because we can't be together in the church because of the pandemic. One advantage of this virtual technology is that we're able to engage with each other during service through the like button and the comment field on screen. So please take advantage of this during service and check in with each other. After service, please join us for coffee hour. You'll find the link to that in the connections email you received recently or a couple days ago. During this time, we can check in with each other to see what's happened in the past week or what's going to happen in the week to come. Speaking of the week to come, there are many activities that UUCA has set up through virtual engagement for us to really check in with each other. Be it kids Lego time or parent check-in or the many other activities that are listed on our Facebook page or in the connections email that you'll get over the next week. So whether this is your first time joining us or you've been here many times, know that you're welcome. We're all in this together, living our values as a community, caring for one another. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Amy Shields, and I'm your worship associate for this morning. In honor of the summer solstice, our call to worship is an excerpt from the poem In Summertime by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Take my rod and line and hook and wander to some darkling brook, where all day long the willows dream and idly droop to kiss the stream, and there to loll from morn till night, unheeding nibble, run or bite, just for the joy of being there and drinking in the summer air, the summer sounds and summer sights that set a restless mind to rights, when grief and pain and raging doubt of men and creeds have worn it out. The bird's song and the water's drone, the humming bee's low monotone, the murmur of the passing breeze, and all the sounds akin to these, that make a man in summertime feel fit for only rest and rhyme. Joy springs all radiant in my breast, though pauper poor, then king more blessed. The tide beats in my soul so strong that happiness breaks forth in song, and rings aloud the welcome blue with all the songs I ever knew. O time of rapture, time of song, how swiftly glide thy days along, adown the current of the years, above the rocks of grief and tears. 'Tis wealth enough of joy for me in summertime to simply be. I invite you to join us in lighting our chalice. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world.
I took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain, turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought it down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail on the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes us bolder, children get older, I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes us bolder, children get older, I'm getting older too. I'm getting older too. Take your love, take it down. Climb a mountain, turn around, and if you see my reflection on the snow-covered hills, the landslide will bring it down. And if you see my reflection on the snow-covered hills, the landslide will bring it
Well, if we were all in church, I would invite the children and the young at heart to come down forward, but I would invite the kids now to get closer to the screen, to come see, because I want to share with all of you, children of any age, my rock. This rock is from outside. I found it because it was part of making a pathway in the garden. And if you had asked me yesterday, what is this rock for? I would have answered, it's for making a pathway. That's the one thing that this rock is for, is making a pathway. But then I looked at it again this morning and I thought about all the other different things that you could do with this rock. I don't know what your ideas are. I'm going to tell you some of my ideas and then maybe you can come up with some ideas. I thought I could paint it. I was thinking maybe I could put googly eyes on it and shake it around, keep it as a pet. If I learned some new things, I could carve it into a sculpture. I could put it together with other rocks and make a house. I could put it on top of papers and use it as a paperweight to keep my papers from blowing around in the wind. Or I can just look at it and appreciate it as a rock. Maybe you have other ideas. I'm not going to be able to hear you, but maybe you can turn to someone next to you and let them know what your ideas are for what you can do with the rock. What are your ideas? There are also some things we can do to a rock that are not as good, ways we can hurt other people. We can build a wall to keep people out. We can throw it at other people. And the more I look at this rock, the more I'm thinking about the ways that people are like rocks. Well, not exactly like rocks. Rocks don't have like arms and legs and eyes and a mouth. The rock can't really wear glasses very well. But one way that they are the same, people and rocks, is, do you remember when I found this rock on the pathway and I was thinking that this rock was supposed to be used in just one way? But there are all kinds of other things we can do with it. Some things that might hurt other people, but also some really cool new things. And that's true of people too. That sometimes we think that people have to be one particular way. Some way that they've been told that they have to be. Maybe we think they have to be a particular way. Maybe other people are telling us how we need to be. And just like this rock, there are all kinds of other things that people can do, and all kinds of other ways that people can be. And some of those ways might hurt other people, but some of them are really cool new things. So here's what I want us to do. Whenever you're done with watching on here, I want you to go with a grown-up to find something near you that was made to be used in just one way. Something that has just one way it needs to be, and find a new way to use it. Use it in a different way from what you think it needs to be used. As for me and my rock, I think I'm going to paint it to look like a face. I'm going to put a smile right there, put some eyes right there, and I might even find a little pair of glasses to set right there on the rock. And when it's finished, I'm going to take it to the church building so that once we're all able to be together again, you can see my rock with its eyes and its mouth and maybe even with its glasses. And that will be something we can remember from this thing that we did together. So, go find something and do something new with it. I invite you now to join me in a time of meditation and prayer. I'm here in the garden, which is a place I've been spending lots of time since I've been down here in Virginia. I usually live with my kids in the Bronx, but now I'm here and I've been spending a lot of time with all these green things here in the garden. And one of the things I've gotten to do lots of is planting and transplanting tomatoes. And one trick that I've learned about transplanting tomatoes is that if you snap off some of these branches that are on the stem, and then you can bury the stem all the way in dirt, all the way up here, and that'll grow new roots, and it'll get new water, and because everything goes much deeper and there's a whole new place for roots, the tomato plant will be much stronger, it'll have an easier time getting water, and it will be stronger and bear more fruit. So we just stick it in there. Can you tell I've been watching lots of gardening YouTube videos? So we just stick it in there and we bury it. And we make sure to get some nice healthy dirt and cover up all of the stem there so that it can create new roots. One way we can respond to our feelings about the way that things are going in the world is to think of them as things that need to bear fruit. Sometimes in our times of meditation and prayer, we think of those things as things that we need to calm down from or feel better about. But today I want us to think of them more like tomato plants, as things that need just a little more nourishment or soil around the stem in order to grow deeper roots and bear sweeter, larger fruit. So I want you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes, to think for a few moments about the last time you felt the weight of what is happening in the world. Where do you feel it? Where does it live? Maybe it is a burning in your eyes, or a heat on your face. Maybe you're like me and it's a tightness in your chest or a shallowness in your breath. Maybe it's nausea in your stomach or a weakness in your legs or your arms. And so we're not going to calm ourselves out of that, but plant it deeper. Where does that feeling live? Take a few moments, a few breaths, to think about where in your body that feeling lives. And if it's in your eyes or your face, imagine it sinking into your chest. If it's in your chest, imagine it growing weightier and gaining foothold in your stomach. If it's in your stomach, imagine it growing like roots into your legs. And if it's in your legs or your arms, let it sink all the way into the floor underneath you. Give it deeper roots. Wherever it is, imagine nourishing soil being put around it. Whatever you feel, plant it deeper so that it can bear fruit. And we'll take a few minutes in silence to do that. Amen. Well, good morning. I'm happy to be back here with you all here at my home church, even virtually. I hope you are all doing well and staying healthy, getting the care and company that you need. For myself, though I usually live in the Bronx with my 2 kids, I'm quarantining down here in Arlington for the time being, and we are all healthy and safe. Father's Day can have a sort of sentimental ring to it, or even, to be honest, as a father, a kind of sad consolation prize kind of feeling to it compared to Mother's Day, which says a lot about how fathers are seen. But I want to think together today about the connections between parenthood and policing, the 2 things that have occupied my mind the most, quarantined here with my kids and watching the outpouring of holy fire in response to George Floyd and the so many others killed in fast ways and slow by this racial regime, in which police are just the tip of the spear. So what I'm not going to do now, though I would and think we should, and at some point I hope we all will, is what I'm not going to do this morning is talk about the history of the police, the roots of American policing and slave patrols and control of immigrant communities. I'm not going to talk about the uselessness of the police for preventing or solving violent crime. I'm not going to talk about the difference between reform and abolition. I'm not going to talk about the problems with which things are defined as crimes in the first place. I'm not going to talk about how all of those things have made me into a police and prison abolitionist, which I don't mean as a slogan or a negotiating position to get cops who are nicer or better trained. I mean, there shouldn't be any more police, and in the meantime, we should take away their money and make them less powerful. Those things are worth talking about. I hope we will talk about them. If you want to learn more about that part of this, my email is just myname@gmail.com, and you can email me and I'll send you the resources that I've got. But this morning, it's Father's Day. So I want to say a few words just as a way to begin, to think about the logics, the ways of thinking that are sometimes in common between parenthood and police, the ways that underneath both of them is a desire to shape things in our image, and how that desire, as an instinct for parenthood and for politics, is something we need to abolish. Black feminists have been in the lead of prison and police abolition for decades, and there are 3 I want to lift up to you today: Miriam Kaba, Angela Davis, and Ruth Wilson Gilmore. I'll repeat those names multiple times this morning, and if you don't remember them, you can email me and I'll send them to you. Miriam Kaba, Angela Davis, and Ruth Wilson Gilmore, and the others who have been thinking about this for decades, have helped me to read the portents, the signs of the times, in a way that illuminates what's going on in the world, but also in my own family and in myself. Looking back at another era of abolitionists, those who thought, wrote, and worked for the abolition of chattel slavery in the United States, one of the tactics used by those who favored slavery was to insist that abolition could not happen until detailed plans were laid. What would be done with all the freed people? Would they be sent to Africa? How would they be educated? How would they be supported economically? What would abolition do to the economic structure of the places that they lived, and how would the economic disruption be handled? When the abolition of slavery finally came, it was without answering most of those questions. And I think this is the important part. It was still the right thing to do. It's obvious to us now that abolishing slavery was the right thing to do. It's obvious now that abolishing slavery never should have depended on having the best laid plans. Plans be damned. So it seems to me that what will things look like after we abolish the police is a bad question, if it presumes that we can know, and that we need to know before we can move forward. It seems to me that today the right thing to do is the right thing to do, and we cannot let ourselves be bogged down by a demand for plans and details. That will come after abolition. In some sense, they can only come after abolition when we see what the world after is like. Only past that horizon can we see what exactly it will look like to weave a social fabric that prioritizes care. So why do I say this on Father's Day? Because it is my fatherhood muscle that helps me believe in those possibilities. There is a model of fatherhood that says my job as my kid's father is to act as the police, to control, to set up rules, to put a stop, so to speak, to riots and protests. And there is, because of all the models of policing that I've had, a little cop inside me that wants to interact with my children in that way. There are moments when we, the kids and I, get trapped in a back and forth, in a fight for control, when honestly, there isn't a real problem. Just a vision in my head about how the next few minutes should unfold. I think that they should brush their teeth in the bathroom like I do, like a normal person does. But they want to brush their teeth at the kitchen sink. This isn't a real problem. It's just a vision in my head about how brushing teeth ought to happen. And I don't necessarily mean a highly authoritarian kind of thing, not just the father who uses a belt for discipline or who yells and screams, but also the more subtle manipulations in which yelling or violence or control is in the background. Community policing, but for dads. Control will feel nicer and everyone will get along better, but it only works because everyone knows who in the end can physically get their way. That's policing too. The planning horizons of parenthood and abolition are similar. I cannot know what will happen with my children. I cannot know ahead of time what it means to be their father, or what world they will enter, or who they will enter it as. I cannot know exactly what care they will need when they are older, or how I will need to love them into the world or through it. But I have to move forward anyway. And if I more or less have a handle on what it looks like to be a parent without being my children's police, if I have a handle on the ways that that helps them flourish rather than be subject to control, then there are ways to translate that into how we think about the police out in the world. And if I am beginning to see a horizon for the abolition of the police out there, a way to abolish the mechanisms for enforcement and administration and control, then I have an opportunity to bring that lesson home into my family and into my own heart. Because the cop within needs abolition as much as the cop without. After the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, new institutions emerged and were created. Lives were lived. Freed slaves were, for a time, able to be protected and allowed to build communities and live more freely than they could under slavery. But like being a parent, moving toward abolition is not the unfolding of a detailed plan, but a step forward in hope, trusting in the new world that is coming. In the end, it is an act of faith. Not faith in the sense of being irrational, not faith in the sense that there aren't good reasons to believe in it, but faith in the sense spoken of by St. Paul. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As in faith, some people are more practiced at it than others. Not better, not more worthy, but more practiced at the kinds of communities and practices and thinking that this kind of faith requires. So here is where I repeat those names: Miriam Kaba, Angela Davis, and Ruth Wilson Gilmore. These are the folks I look to when I think about policing out there and policing in here. These are the folks I look to, and that I hope you will also look to, at least to get started. We don't need to come into the conversation as experts, but willing to stretch our imaginations, to step forward without being able to see the whole path, to trust that a new world is coming. Because in the end, the same kind of faith is required for fatherhood and parenthood. Even if we abolished the police, there lives in so many of our hearts the desire to control, to constrain, to mold, rather than to provide for and care. The faith that we have in our children, that they will grow and flourish without the threat of violence or control, is something we model in our interactions with them and in our politics. To abandon the desire to control the future, to abandon the desire to control other people, to abandon the desire to have things our way, to abolish the police in the communities where we live and in our families and in our hearts, to bring in their place models of community and of parenthood that are not about shaping things in our image, but about watering the ground where tomatoes grow, deepening their soil so that they can be rooted, fruitful, and strong. Here, there, and everywhere, abolish the police. May it be so. Amen.
UUCA is recognized throughout Northern Virginia as an activist congregation. We make a difference in people's lives by advocating, organizing, volunteering, and sharing our space and resources, and by giving of our financial support. As is our custom, we share 70% of our plate offering with partner organizations that are doing good work on our behalf, both within our community and around the world. The money collected by our offering will collectively support our partners' ongoing work and amplify the voices of people in the margins to bring justice and peace to our world. Organizations such as Little Friends for Peace, UUSJ, DC Metro PFLAG, Voice, Alianzas, Service Never Sleeps, and Equality Virginia. The work of these organizations is extremely valuable to our community, especially during the pandemic that has disproportionately impacted communities on the margins. Since our services have gone to a virtual format, our weekly Share the Plate collection has dropped more than 75%. We know that many are unable to give during these uncertain times, but we would ask those of you who are still able to give comfortably to please consider making an extra effort this week to support our social justice partners that work so hard to bring our faith to life. With many ways we can give to UUCA, first, you can always mail or drop off the check payable to UUCA with the word offering in the memo line. Second, you can give online at the church website www.uucava.org. Click the donate button on the top of the page. Finally, you can donate using the mobile app Give Plus, enter the zip code 22204, and choose our church, UUCA, and follow the prompt to give now. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our need, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Friends, as we prepare to go our separate ways once again, as we look back on what has happened, and as we look forward, not knowing what is to come, let's remember the words of Miriam Kaba. Let this radicalize you, rather than lead you to despair. Go in peace.